Champions League, I know, but you can't forget about Europa. And I certainly haven't forgotten to hit you guys with a Europa League Quarter-Finals match guide and predictions. Of course, I expect you guys to add your predictions to the comment section as well. And as always, if you're new around here, then hit that subscribe button for more Europa League content, Champions League news and watch-alongs, super in-depth player bios, football explainer videos, FIFA content, and more. We got a lot of stuff going on here. Aside from that, let's look at our first matchup, which is Lazio versus FC Salzburg, aka Red Bull Salzburg. Salzburg has actually gone under the radar a little bit in this competition, but they are by no means a pushover team. Just ask Borussia Dortmund, who they bounced out of the competition in the round of 16. Or before that, Real Sociedad. Or in the group stage, Marseille, who could only manage a draw and a loss against Salzburg. In fact, ask any team they have played this season besides Sturm Graz, as these guys haven't lost since August 27th, 2017. Against Dortmund, they exhibited their airtight defense that manager Marco Rose has instilled within the Austrian side this season, both away, where they got a 2-1 win at Signal Iduna Park, and at home, where they set up shop for a 0-0 draw to take them through. They are yet to lose in the Europa League and have only conceded 4 times in 10 matches. Plus, with a striker like Munis Dabur, there's always a threat going forward. Granted, his form has been a little bit off in his last 4 appearances. Lazio carries some threats themselves, however, most notably, of course, through Ciro Immobile, who has scored 34 goals already this season, 6 of which have been in the Europa League. Then there's Felipe Anderson, who's had 3 assists in his last 4 Europa League matches. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, Strakosha in goal, Radu patrolling at the back. Lazio have an extremely decent squad. And I mean no disrespect to Lazio fans, but that's the best way to describe Lazio. Extremely decent. They started the season so well, but matches have been a bit laborious for them as late, with only 1 win in their last 6 matches. Mind you, that 1 win was away to Dynamo Kiev, a team that was solid in Europa League this year. So it's a strong defense versus sometimes exciting attack, and I think I'm going to back Salzburg again, because they are yet to let me down. Lazio have lost their last 3 matches against Austrian clubs too, by the way. Of course, Salzburg were somewhat fortunate to go up against Dortmund when Dortmund is not quite a mess, but not everything is in order there at the moment. I think that Lazio will be really frustrated up against Salzburg and they'll end up losing this tie 3-1 on aggregate. Our second matchup is an all-Iberian affair as it's capital club Atletico Madrid versus capital club Sporting Clube de Portugal. I always love when Portuguese teams come up against Spanish teams. Too bad Sporting really hate playing against Spanish teams, especially in Spain, as they have never won a match in Spain with 9 losses and 3 draws. But hey, how did Sporting get to this point? Well, they played FC Astana and nearly made a mess of that at home in the second leg, where they drew 3-3, and went through 6-4 on aggregate. In the round of 16, they took on Victoria Plzeň, winning handily 2-0 at home, and then losing 2-1 away in extra time to the Czech leaders. So, call me a salty Benfica fan, but I think Sporting fans would agree, Sporting hasn't exactly been convincing since dropping down into the Europa League. At least they are winning though, I'll give them that. However, they're coming up against an Atletico Madrid side that are on a bit of a tear right now in the Europa League. Domestically, they had a little slip up when they played against Villarreal last week. But other than that, they have 11 wins and 2 losses from their last 13 matches, conceding only 5 goals in that time frame and scoring 34. Griezmann himself has scored 10 in his last 8 matches, so he's hit a bit of a purple patch, and Jorge Jesus will have to formulate a plan in order to stifle him. The last time these 2 teams played each other was when Atletico eliminated Sporting on away goals in 2010. That was the year Atletico went on to win the Europa League, actually. And I think that Atletico will do the business over Lisbon once again, taking it 4-2 on aggregate. I just called Sporting Lisbon. I've never done that before. I don't know how that happened. A newbie in this competition, RB Leipzig, come up against Olympique Marseille, and of course, given the come up of the German side, these 2 teams have never met before. By the way, if you're wondering about RB Leipzig's come up and ownership, then I have a video on that and the 50+1 rule. Just wait until the end of the video and it should come up automatically in the end screen, I think. But anyways, Marseille are having an up and down season domestically where they sit in 3rd place, and that form has translated to the Europa League where they have had some simply stunning performances along the way. Mixed in with a few L's, but not too many L's of course, otherwise they wouldn't be at this stage of the competition now, would they? They beat Braga in the round of 32, winning the first 3-0 and losing the second 1-0, but They cleaned their form up against Athletic Bilbao as they won both matches, going through comfortably with a 5-2 aggregate win. Leipzig, of course, were transplanted into the competition from the Champions League, and they just slipped through the round of 32 against Napoli. However, they were much more convincing in the round of 16, as they beat Zenit at home, then earned an away draw in St. Petersburg, which is not the easiest place to travel to. Domestically, they recently beat Bayern Munich, and their form seems to be going in the right direction again, although these guys are really hard to trust. They go through spells where they lose multiple matches in a row, so it's safe to say they are consistently inconsistent. Which makes it really hard to predict how they will do going up against Marseille, who dominated Athletic. Mind you, Athletic is now 13th in La Liga, so they were definitely punching above their weight in the Europa League. So the prediction, I don't know. This is a really tight one, but I'll show some belief in Marseille and the quality that they have in that team, and I'll take them making it through with a score of 4-3. And the last one, Arsenal going up against CSKA Moscow, and damn, I feel like it's been ages since Arsenal has played a match. Could just be me though. Nah man, it's legit been 2 weeks since their last match. But anyways, their last match is a good place to start because Arsenal absolutely trashed AC Milan 3-1 at home. Shout out to Danny Welbeck, we all saw what you did there, boy. But it had no bearing on the aggregate score in the end anyways, because Milan were trash, to be honest. And they went out 5-1 on aggregate. And I mean, despite Arsenal kind of being, for lack of a better word, shitty this season, with the squad that they have, they should be doing fine in the Europa League, and it should come as no wonder as to how they have gotten to this stage. The Milan result confuses me a little bit, but in hindsight, more due to how bad Milan were considering their form domestically, and not the fact that Arsenal are a supreme team. But let's shed some light on CSKA Moscow, as they were another Europa League transplant, and they are another team, much in the mold of FC Salzburg, that is all about defensive solidity. In fact, across the 4 Europa League matches that they have played, they have only scored 4 times, which is a bit of a problem. But they have only conceded 3 times, all in the last round. Oh, and 3 of the 4 goals they have scored were all in one match. Their last one against Lyon. Honestly, their inability to score goals in half of the matches they played in makes me worried for CSKA Moscow. CSKA Moscow, as some like to say. And with Arsenal basically playing for their lives in this competition, with this likely being their only way of getting a Champions League spot next season, just as it was for Manchester United last season, then I can't see Arsenal messing this tie up. Famous last words, if ever there were some. It'll look good in the reaction video, I guess. So, I will take the Gunners to come out on top in this tie 3-1 on aggregate. And that's it. That's all. You've got all you need to know and all the predictions that you can get out of me. So, who do you have? Just to remind you, I have Salzburg, Atletico, Marseille, and Arsenal. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then drop a like, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Adrian, and that's all.